Hey guys, this is blenderjunky. I'm here to do another tutorial on hard surface modeling. There's been a couple of requests for it so on the Google Plus page, so I'm going to do a really quick one here. We're going to talk about hard surface modeling and Greebles. Okay, what is hard surface modeling? I was thinking about this and I was trying to figure out a good way to describe this, and I think I came up with something that it might be a bit wordy, but it kind of makes sense to me. Hard surface modeling is the antithesis of sculpting. Sculpting in Blender is generally used to create organic models, for example, characters, avatars, animals, etc. Hard surface modeling is used more prominently in the creation of industrial sci-fi and the reproduction of real-world objects that have less organic and more mechanical properties. Hard surface modeling in this tutorial will be used to demonstrate the creation of Greebles in the sci-fi world. So we have to then ask ourselves, what are Greebles? Pretty simply, Greebles are details added to the surface of an object to make it appear more complex. Okay? For some reason I can't speak English today. It's okay though. There are two different types of Greebles. There's hull plating and there are mechanical Greebles. Okay? We're going to do, this tutorial is going to demonstrate how to firstly create hull plating. Okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to close down this version of Blender and I'm going to open up my Blender here. What I actually started creating was a X-Wing. Okay, so you can see what I've kind of done so far. This actually demonstrates both types of Greebles that I'm going to do in the next couple of tutorials. First tutorial I'm going to try to keep them short. So I'm going to do the hull plating in this one, which you can see here, so you can see what the difference is. This would be the hull plating. That's the square pieces that are on the surface of the hull to make it look like it's been pieced together by different pieces of metal or whatever, right? And then there are the mechanical Greebles, which is what you see here. Okay, now the mechanical Greebles are supposed to serve some kind of mechanical purpose. If you've ever looked really closely at a Star Wars model, which I've been sort of on a Star Wars kick lately, there's no logic to the Greebles that they've added. Just so you know, there really isn't. In fact, I think it's, if you think about when they were built, which is in the late 70s, early 80s, most of these models, they were pieced together from model kits, probably battleships and airplanes and cars and all that kind of stuff. They would just pull pieces out of model kits and stick them on wherever they thought it looked good. So a lot of the pipes don't go anywhere. A lot of the fixtures they don't really serve any purpose. But from a distance, they actually look pretty cool. So sometimes it's not about what's functional. Sometimes it's about what looks cool. So now, if you want, when you create the mechanical Greebles, if you want to make them functional, you can do that. You can make them appear more functional. I'm not too concerned about that because, like I said, from a distance, they still look cool. So let's talk about doing just the hull plating today. Okay, so I'm going to go to layer 2 because that's where I have my base mesh. Now, the base mesh here you can see is, which is important, is what the hull plating is on top of. I don't create the hull plating directly on the base mesh. If you do that, sometimes it tends to get a little messy and you create a whole bunch of geometry you don't need. Okay, so in order to accomplish what I want to accomplish, let me go into my front view here. I know it's kind of weird, it's the side of the ship, but whatever. I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to click on my down here to my box or my face select. I'm going to select one face, the front face here, or the side face. I'm going to hit Shift D on my keyboard. Now that's going to duplicate that face, right? So if I grab it, you can see it's duplicated. But I also want to separate it from the original mesh. So I'm going to hit P on my keyboard, which is a separate menu, and I'm going to hit Separate Selection. Okay. Now if I tab out and then click on the selection that I just separated, you can see that it's now a separate object. Okay. So now I'll go back into edit mode here, and I'm just going to show you how I do this really quickly. I'm going to hit K on my keyboard to bring up my knife cutting tool. Okay, so I'm going to actually cut a face into this. Now you'll notice that it kind of haphazardly kind of bounces around. If you hit C, it'll lock it to an axis. Okay, and then you can create whatever shape you want. All right. Now I'm just going to get rid of this. I don't need it. Oops. Get rid of the face. I don't need the face, and I'm just going to select that. Okay. Now there's a couple schools of thought here. You can, what I'll do is I'll actually hit I on my keyboard to actually inset the face, and then I'll type 0.001. That gives me just a little gap there. Okay, doesn't have to be even. I don't really care. So I'm going to hit Control I, and I'm going to invert that selection. So now it's selected those outer faces, as you can see here. Okay, I'm going to hit X and delete those faces. Okay, now if I was to do a stretch of Greebles, like a whole bunch of them in a row, and I wanted to keep them all part of the same mesh, I would still do that separation, so it gives them a bit of a gap. Okay, I'm going to select that face. I'm going to go in so you can kind of see what happens here. I'm going to hit extrude and type 0.0025. That gives me just enough for a little bit of a plate there. Okay, I'm going to go into my wireframe or my see-through mode or my transparent mode, and that's done by just hitting Z on your keyboard. Okay, the front face is selected here. I want to select the back face. I'm going to hit X on my keyboard again and delete that back face. I do high poly models, but even with high poly modeling, I still try my best to keep my face count down. With models like this, you're going to end up with a high face count, so don't really be too concerned about it if you're doing a high poly model. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, if you notice over here, I've already got a couple of modifiers on my list here. Okay. So I've mirror modified it so it actually creates both of them on. I don't have to create two different meshes. It's one mesh. It mirrors it, right? And then an edge split. Okay. Now how your modifiers stack is kind of important. I'm going to add in a bevel modifier here. Okay. And notice it doesn't do anything. I want it to do something. I'm going to increase my segment number to 3, okay, and then I'm going to move it with the up arrow that's here above my edge split. And you can see what it does. It actually created a curvature to that edge. Okay. Now, I don't use a subsurf modifier. I don't necessarily like using subsurf modifiers. You can keep it smooth if you want. I actually kind of like them when they're flat, to be perfectly honest with you. I just think it looks cooler. But yeah, you can do less as far as the segments or whatever, but it just makes it, I just think it looks cooler. The reason I removed that back face, by the way, is when you actually have the bevel, if that back face is there, it actually curves it back under, and I don't like that as much. So you can keep it if you want. Depends on what kind of look you're going for. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to select that face from my original mesh, hit Shift D, P to remove to separate the selection. Select that again. Okay, hit my K on the keyboard to do my knife cutting tool. C to add in my knife to lock it to an axis. Hit Enter on my keyboard to verify the selection. Delete that big face. Do the same thing again. Okay. Actually, I'm going to do something different because I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to add in a knife or a loop cut by hitting Control R. Let me do that again. Okay, and then I'm going to click my mouse button twice, my left mouse button, to verify the selection and keep it where it is. I'll hit W to bevel it, just a little bit. Okay, actually I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm actually going to select both faces. I'm going to hit Alt E, and now I can extrude individual faces. There. Okay, and then I'm just going to left click again and verify the selection. I'm going to hit I, 0.001. To add that space in between them. Okay, I'll hit Control I to reverse the selection, X to delete those faces, A to select all. Okay, extrude 0.0025, same as I did before. Select the two back faces, delete them. Okay, now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to add it to this mesh, and I don't have to worry about doing any of the bevel options. It'll automatically do it all on its own. Okay, and then I'll actually flatten it all out because I like it flat. So that's how I do the hull plating. Okay, I'm going to go into my render mode here so you can see what that looks like. All right, so that's the hull plating. Okay, really simple. It's very quick. I know I went really quickly, but you can slow it down a little bit, I think, and just watch it again and again and again. And hopefully that helps you with the hull plating. So I hope you got something out of that, and I'm going to do another tutorial on doing the mechanical Greebles, which is what you see up here. That one probably will be a bit longer. Anyway, have a great day, and thanks very much for watching.